Hello, so in this video we're going to create a basic ball bounce. So we're not even up to the stage of doing the 12 principles of animation just yet. We just need to know some of these basics before we go into more depth. So let's have a look at the finished product. Oh, I need to actually go into Adobe Animate, don't I? Press return here, and I've got two instances of balls bouncing, right? So this here is just an example of two balls bouncing. You notice that they don't do the 12 principles just yet, the squat and stretch. So let's go to our ball bounce file. Previously we learnt how to make a ball on a path move. So what we'll do now is we will go over to our scene over here, and we can create our scenes, and we're going to create a new scene, and we're going to call this scene here 03 basic ball bounce. Okay, not bulk, ball bounce, and press return. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing as before. We're going to have here title and press return, and we're going to call this one here basic ball bounce, just so that when we export we know what's going on. Now I've got this basic ball bounce here right in the top there like that. I can actually select it and move it down if I wish. If I want to change the size of this, I triple click on this and then select all the type, or press Command A or Control A, and then you go over to here the settings, and you can change the font size, all the other stuff, fill color. I want to change this over to that sort of reflex blue. And sorry, my voice is sort of crackling because I'm a bit dehydrated. Okay, so next up, we're going to make this ball bounce. Okay, so that is our title. We can lock it, so we don't need to modify that anymore. I might actually just go to the keyframe and then press F5 to bring this out to, let's say, to 2 seconds. Okay. There we go, 2 seconds. Okay, so press return, and that title lasts for 2 seconds. We're going to create a new layer now, and we're going to call this one here first ball, and press return. Well, what's going on here? Special characters are not permitted. I don't know what's going on there. Ball. Press return. Okay, so we want to bring the ball back in again from our library. So go to library and bring our ball in. This ball is a bit too big right now, so I'm going to resize it. So if I go to this tool over here, which is the Free Transform tool, and I can go over here and I can bring this down in size. I need to press Shift, and I need to maintain proportions. Okay, so I'm going to have the ball about this big. I'm going to shift it right up to almost the top here, because we're going to reuse this whole scene for the next bit after this, or one of the other bits. Okay, so we're going to just do a basic ball bounce up and down on this one. So just like before, we can go over to our keyframe 1, and we're going to right click, and we're going to create a classic tween. And then we're going to go over to the last frame at 2-second marker on frame 48 for mine anyways. I want to make a new keyframe. So for me, function F6, or for someone who's on a normal keyboard, F6 is fine. I'm now going to move this ball down and press Shift at the same time, so it locks it into the ratio of vertical, and I'm going to just put my ball over here. Okay, so there's a few other things you might want to do to make this a little bit more realistic. I'm going to go over to View and show rulers. Okay, so it brings up a whole set of rulers here. If I click on the ruler at the top and then drag down, I can bring a guide in. So this is going to help me out later on by finding out where the ball is actually bouncing. So let's press return, and we'll see our ball is actually bouncing. Pretty cool. What happens if you want to have the ball so it bounces up and then comes back down again? What we can do is we can go over to, let's say, frame 25, or let's go to frame 20 and press F6, and we come over and here, and we press Shift and then move this down to that base there. Okay, all right. So what's happening here now is that it moves down and it stays there. Now Now what we want to do is bring the ball up so it bounces. So we can go in the center here along this timeline right here, and we can click on here in this section right here and press F6 again, or function F6, and bring the ball up about a quarter of the way. Let's press return now, and we'll press return again and see how it's bouncing, right? So it's quite crude, but you understand the key concepts of it, okay? So let's make this a little bit more complex now by showing a ball coming in from the side. So what we'll do now is we'll just lock that ball, and we might just hide it for the time being. And we're going to create a new layer, and this one's going to be called flying ball, okay? And press return. So what we can do is we could use the path tool to create the arc for how the ball is going to bounce. So we have a lot of control over this, and we can modify it a lot more simply later on. So let's here go to the pen tool, and we can start by finding out what the arc is going to be for our ball. So like that. If I click on that dot right there, it's going to make it as a hard edge. And then we can click over here like that, drag and click and drag, and then click here and then make a smaller one there. All right, so press return, done. Okay, cool, so nothing's really happening there. Okay, so what we need to do now is we need to bring the ball in, don't we? So we go and make a new layer and bring that layer underneath flying ball. And we're going to call this one here fly ball. Okay. What's it doing? Fly ball. So it doesn't really like having a space there. So now, before I bring the ball in, I'm just going to make this as a path. So we right click and make this as a guide, and then make this fly ball layer as its little mate, okay? So I'm going to bring in my ball from the stage, bring it in. I'm going to reduce it in size, okay, about that size. And then remember that I'm bringing my ball across here so it snaps to this line here, okay, and just bring it right off so from the screen, okay. And then we go over to frame 1, we right click, and we make a classic tween. And then we go over to the end of our animation, press function F6 or just F6 on a normal keyboard. We go right to the end over here, making sure that this adheres to the path, and we stop our ball. The ball needs to stop over here because that's where the base is of the ball. In fact, oh no, hang on. We'll bring the ball down here, right? Because this is where the other balls are going to stop. About that section, that sort of point there. So let's return this. Pretty cool, huh? So that is our basic ball bouncing on the screen. So what we can do is we can just hide that path, and we can bring our normal ball in, and let's give it a go. Pretty cool. And that is it for this one. Thank you. Bye.